I believe that there are rules to this game of life. And once I started to actually play by the rules of this particular life, that's when my life totally shifted within the game. And what I want to talk about is specifically why I eat a carnivore lifestyle and also a meat-based lifestyle. I've had a lot of people ask me this question also because I talk about thinking and moving through life in terms of frequencies. So the question is like, isn't that kind of contradictory? Why would you live a carnivore lifestyle? Isn't that harmful to the animals? That's a bad thing, isn't it? The short answer to that is no. But there's a much longer, more satisfying answer to that I want to address on a cellular level. First, from the carnivore research that's come out, and then second, from the quantum physics research that's come out, both on a cellular level, and the two parallel in terms of how the body functions, and then how, in my opinion, we can use the body and work with the body to be able to move up a level in the game. So if we're talking about levels, the highest level in the game is obviously being able to create whatever we want, the life that we want, the income that we want, the friends, the family, the relationship, the apartment, the house, whatever we want, right? People are always talking about manifestation, law of attraction. And I don't think that the food part is addressed enough. And that's what I want to break down. So let's talk about why the carnivore lifestyle is helpful to be able to create the life of our dreams from a frequency standpoint. I want to address this again from a cellular level, but first, the levels I believe to the game are we want to get to, the spirit version of ourselves, the highest version of ourselves, right? We can reverse engineer this by, talking about what the Bible reference is, which is the body, the mind, and the spirit. And a lot of other religions reference that as well. One of the rules to this game that I have discovered is that taking care of the body is in fact one of the best mechanisms that can be implemented to achieve the life that somebody wants to achieve. And once I started doing carnivore, that is what happened to me. Because at the end of the day, what we eat, if it's low quality crap, whatever, typically that's what reflects in life, is a low quality lifestyle where it could be much greater. So I've done a lot of research on the carnivore lifestyle and interviewed a lot of people. The biggest thing that the carnivore lifestyle helps someone to do is to achieve metabolic health. That's what they're finding. It's actually not even carnivore that they're finding. It would be keto research is revealing that. When they do this research, which is not widely done because it hasn't been something that has been funded, they're now coming out with this new research that everybody who you ever talk to, who's ever been a doctor in carnivore or keto or worked with brain health, I've talked to all of them, watch those interviews, they all talk about how when you implement higher protein, higher fat diets to the body, and that's specifically animal fat, it actually reduces inflammation, which helps the body, the cell then, to heal its mitochondria. So every cell has its own little mitochondria. It's like a little sausage-shaped little energy factory for the cell. So the cell needs the mitochondria to work well in order for the cell to work well. And the cells basically multiply. And what one cell is, in terms of health-wise, typically then will multiply. So if we have broken, fractured mitochondria of our cell, that means that our cells will multiply in that formula, in that format, and that's how inflammation comes about, which then obviously causes chronic health issues, obesity, anxiety, depression, all that kind of stuff. So it's when carnivore, just to tie this up, carnivore and keto or low carb is implemented, for whatever reason, research finds that on a cellular level, inflammation is dramatically reduced, if not completely taken away, and the mitochondria is healed. So that means the cells are healthy, which creates a healthy body. So that's what's happening on the cellular level with carnivore. Let's talk about the cellular level with the quantum research. So there are these things called biophotons, and these were started to be discovered in like the 20s. And this is not, this theory is slowly becoming more adopted in the world of science and research and whatnot, but it's not totally widely adopted yet in mainstream, but it's kind of getting there. And that is that these cells basically have what are called biophotons, which is light emitting from them. Every single cell does. So effectively, we are all kind of made up of light, because these light will project out from the cells, and that carries information to the next cell as far as what to do. and what to multiply as. And so what we know is that let's say when we feel stressed, our body feels stressed by telling, like we feel an emotion. So let's say something happens right now that scares you. That's gonna be like, you're gonna feel it. That's gonna release an emotion in your brain. That's gonna be like a stress hormone. That hormone and that feeling releases chemicals into the body, which then tells the autonomic nervous system how to tell the body what to do. So if you're stressed out, that basically emotion tells your body what to tell the rest of the body to do. And that's how you get all these stress hormones and genes that are activated that get you to respond to a fight or flight kind of situation. But for a lot of what I talk about in terms of thinking and acting in terms of frequencies is how to start thinking better feeling thoughts so that one can raise their baseline frequency. So I used to live on a lower baseline frequency because I was constantly thinking anxious thoughts about lack, feel fearful if this thing happened or if this thing didn't happen or whatever. And because I was feeling those feelings, the feelings released chemicals in the body that tell the body I'm stressed or I'm feeling bad, which tells my cells what energy to emit in those lights that they give off. And then that ripples out through the rest of my body. And that's how people get chronically anxious personalities. That's how people get physical health issues. That's how people have, super stressed out bodies where their body's storing all this fat in their stomach and all these other things. But those negative thought patterns are self-reinforcing. So you feel bad, you think bad, it releases the chemicals that reinforce that over and over again. When we change those to positive emotions and we think better feeling thoughts, it changes the light that the cells give off. And so the cells are not supposed to give off a crazy amount of light, and it's supposed to be orderly, like coherent. So when we think better feeling thoughts and release those emotions into the body, the cells actually give off that light. And then that's what's communicated throughout the body through the cells. And that's what tells the body what to do. And that can make or break the physical health of a body. So that's kind of the latest scientific research about how the cells communicate. And they also are finding that light may have a lot to do with how our general consciousness functions too, right? So this is all slowly coming out with this, but both carnivore and then the other quantum are addressing the cellular energy states, and finding that when we think good thoughts, more often than not, that tells the body to do good things. When we eat real good food that are high fat, high protein, that tells the body how to proceed, and it decreases chaos and inflammation and fixes the energy of the cell. So in my opinion, when I'm looking at this from a scientific standpoint in terms of carnivore, but also how to think and act in terms of frequencies, I think that they go hand in hand. We know through recent data that the carnivore or the meat-based, or at least a very low carbohydrate lifestyle, helps that cellular function. We also know that when you think higher, level, loving, appreciative, good feeling thoughts more consistently, that changes the biophoton expression from the cells. Both of them are on a cellular level. So for me, once I started to do both, that is when my life truly shifted and locked in. I used to think that I had a personality type that was just anxious. I used to talk about the what ifs all the time. And now when I stay consistent to the carnivore lifestyle, I can tell so dramatically how up my mood is and how positive my energy is and how much I really do have to give. And I feel like I'm happier. I feel like I'm more loving and more, I don't know if the word's calm, but at peace and like chill. I don't have any food noise. I don't have any issues with food at all. In fact, I can eat a ton of food and be great. It just, when we give our body the things that help our cells and help our body function, that's the game. When we finally give our body what it needs to do its thing, it will do its thing. So this ties back into the levels. There's the level of the body, which once I learned to unlock the body and stop forcing it to live in a stressful state because I was eating so many ultra processed foods and all of the rest of it, I was breaking the mitochondria. Once I fixed the mitochondria, that actually brought so much clarity to my mind. The brain fog, which I didn't even know I had, went away. I started needing only like 6 hours of sleep a night, and I was totally good. I had all of these other like clarity things that happened in my mind. So fixing the game of the body unlocked the potential of the mind. And then when I think about the quantum physics, what they're understanding is that if everything is consciousness, if we are consciousness, you are consciousness, and we're all surrounded by consciousness, learning to become a more, consciousness-based being, I believe, has to go to how we unlock the mind to access, the spirit. So my approach in doing that is what I call the magic book, which is effectively doing a daily practice that helps me think in terms of frequencies and has actually raised my baseline frequency. That said, I think what I know to be true for me and for many of the people I coach is that fixing the body makes it so much easier to get to the true potential of the mind. Think about it. When you see people walking around and they have a poor diet, you can tell their energy represents it, their body shows it. Their attitude might be edgier, they might be a little bit more anxious. And the same is true when we look at people who have a great diet or whatever, they're eating real foods. You can tell the body feels good, they have higher energy, they're like this, they're ready to go, the things are moving, life is going. So that creates an entirely different emotional state in a person. So I learned that if I just approached an emotional state, but through the physical part first, the ability to change my thoughts and shift my baseline frequency became so much greater on a day-to-day basis. And that's part of the game. Now that I have that ability to not only think good thoughts, implement the magic book, learn to think in terms of frequencies and raise one's frequency, it also becomes easier to not think as much and to be able to not hyper focus on my problems all the time and not have anxious thoughts and not hyper obsess over problems, which we know in quantum research, when we reach higher states of energy states, frequency states of emotion, we are able to tap into a different realm of possibilities. And if we get what we are, if we get equal to how we think, well, simply cleaning out my physical system and giving my body what it needs to actually function right, basically made it possible for my mind to start thinking right. And I think that as humans, we are meant to actually be optimistic. I think that we are so much more powerful than what we've been taught and told and sold. And one of the ways to unlock that very easily is to change, in my opinion, the way that we eat. That level needs to be unlocked to get to level 2, which is clarity of mind, being able to change the baseline frequency of our mind on a day-to-day. And by doing that, we get higher access to all of the God-given things that we should have access to. Now, obviously, all of this is new research. All of this is what they're finding in quantum research. And this is the latest and the greatest and the newest. Obviously, it's all subject to change, but right now, this is what we know best. So I hope that answers the question as to why I'm carnivore and why I am also meat-based. That doesn't mean I never have fruit. I do love raw honey. I think raw honey is a hack, but at the end of the day, removing ultra-processed foods is one of the biggest and best things that anybody could do for themselves to be able to shift their life and change their life completely, be able to think and move and act in terms of frequencies. If you're curious about any of those opposing views, you should definitely watch them. I had carnivore experts come on with like plant-based or vegan experts because I want to know what the truth is. It was a real science-based conversation. I will attach a few of those below. If you're curious about what the magic book is, how you can use that as a way to raise your frequency, I literally do it every single day. I have done it for the last 6 years. Drop the comment magic book below because I will be doing like a webinar about coaching on this, or not coaching, how to do this here pretty soon. I don't know if there's anything else that I missed or not, but hopefully that answers the question about this on a cellular scientific standpoint, because that's the way I like to approach things, is like, I want to understand fundamentally why this could make sense. And hey, maybe trying carnivore or meat-based could be really powerful for you. At the very least, whatever you try, which I think you could do vegan, plant-based, all that's probably fine. Remove the ultra-processed foods. That's learning to play the game. Give your body real food, and that unlocks the second chamber. All right, hope you have a great day. See ya.